On behalf of the Shree Sanathan Dharma Sabha Purohit Mandal, I would like to welcome all of you here to this Dharma Samvad. The discussions that take place here help us to mold our Sanathan practices, and I am glad that you have chosen to be part of such discussions. Today's presentation will be done by Pandit Dr. Lokesh Maharajh, who is no stranger to all of us. He has honors in Hindi and Sanskrit and a PhD. He's a practicing Purohit. He's part of the executive of the Shree Sanathan Dharma Sabha of South Africa, and he's the chair of the Peace Council of the South African Hindu Mahasabha. Without further ado, I would like to hand over to him. And the program for this afternoon is he will do a presentation and then we will integrate with each other. So you may put forward your views and other information. You may also ask questions. We want this to be participatory in nature. You must be part of the discussions so that we can together look at the way forward. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad. Jai Shri Ram to all of you. So, as Panditji has indicated to you, the presentation today is going to be on DEVI worship. In particular, we're going to engage in a discussion on quite a few aspects of DEVI worship. So you are already familiar with the questions that were sent to you through the WhatsApp group. And I think you'll have to agree that those are questions which are often posed to us as Pandits, as priests, by our Yajmans. And sometimes we are not always in a position to answer those questions. So that is why we felt that we should meet like we are today to look at those questions to see if we can reach consensus. I'm not sure whether we're going to do that, but we're going to try to reach consensus so that as a Sanathan Dharma Purohit Council, as a Purohit Mandal, we must speak with one voice. Okay? You know what is happening to Pandits these days on Facebook, right? The Pandit bashing that's taking place. And part of the reason is maybe because Pandits are not speaking with one voice. So I'm hoping that on the topic of DEVI worship, we can reach some kind of agreement today on those various topics that were sent to you through the WhatsApp group. But before we get to those questions itself, I think it's important to have a little discussion about DEVI worship. So what you'll see there is DEVI Suktam. So DEVI Suktam is from the Rig Veda. So what I'm saying is that we can trace the roots of DEVI to the Rig Veda. Right? So the idea of worshipping a feminine aspect has its source in the Vedas. See, because people want to know what is the source of worshipping the mother. So for us, the source is in the Vedas. In fact, there was a long time in ancient Indian society, in ancient Hindu society, the society was matriarchal. Matriarchal means the mother was the head of the house. Of course, because of invasions that took place in India, because of foreigners that came to the land, the position changed in society, where women had to practice what is called the parda system. Stay behind the curtain. And that's because of the fear of the foreigners who used to roam the streets of India. So the discrimination that might exist against females is not scriptural. It's social. It is circumstances that dictated it. You know that Vedas talk about Maitreya, Lopamudra. They talk about Gargi. Who were these people? They were great Mahatmas who engage in philosophical discourse with their husbands. Now, you cannot engage in a philosophical discourse if you yourself don't have knowledge. So for them to have discussed such profound philosophical things with their husbands meant that they had access to the Vedas and the Upanishads and the different philosophies. So that is evidence for us that knowledge of Vedas is open to everybody, irrespective as to gender, caste, creed, etc. So there is this history that we can trace back to the Vedas. So by the way, if you look at the Durga Saptashati, there is a Devi Suktam that's given at the beginning, right? The Devi Suktam is part of the Durga Saptashati. Now, a lot of the questions that were sent to us referred to scriptures. Is there a scriptural evidence for this? So I thought that before we proceed, we should at least have a common understanding of what scriptures are. So this table that you see there is a table that we are using in the new Purohit course that has already been registered with the South African Qualifications Authority, SAQA. So you know that the Arya Samaj and the Shree Sanathan Dharma Sabha, Purohit Mandal, have been working very closely with the South African Hindu Mahasabha for a number of years now to get the Purohit course registered with the QCTO. That's the Quality Control Trades Organization or something, right? We are already registered, and the SAQA approval is pending a few changes that were requested from us, which we worked on last week we worked on. Now I'm digressing a little bit to explain this to you because there are people who are sending around WhatsApp messages, and you would have received it too, that the Christians and the Muslims already have SAQA approval. The Hindus, the South African Hindu Mahasabha specifically, is lagging behind, and we are not getting anywhere. That's the message that was sent. Clearly, this is a person who is working against Hindu unity, being a Hindu himself, because that is far from the truth. He doesn't know the truth. I'm telling you that the qualification has been registered already. At the moment, together with the Arya Samaj, we are developing the videos so that in a few months we are going to go live, where you as a priest will be able to log on to the training site and start the training, so that you as a practicing priest can show RPL, recognition of prior learning, and get your accreditation. So any new priests who are not qualified will have to follow the entire course again. In your case, you just have to prove that you know what is on that website, and it's a very friendly website. It will take you through it, and you will get your accreditation, and you'll become a SAQA approved priest. We are almost there. So don't believe these Facebook and social, because there are some people who just want to work against the Sanathan Dharma organizations. So why am I mentioning this? Is because we agreed when we were developing the syllabus with the Arya Samaj and with all the other organizations, we agreed that these are the authentic scriptures. So when we talk about scriptures, we talk about the Samhitas, the four Vedas, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sama Ved, and Atharva Ved. Then you get Vedangas. Vedangas are simply Angas, tools, parts that help us to understand the Vedas better. So we need to know Shiksha, phonetics. We need to know Vyakaran, grammar. We need to know the rights, the rules of geometry, Jyotish, Nirukta, and Chanda. And Nirukta is very important. You see, Nirukta is etymology. What is the root? What is the source of a word? So the word Gau in Rig Vedic terms has more than 20 meanings, depending on the understanding of Nirukta. So that is why we must be careful when we translate words. And I'm saying that because the word Mash is used in Durga Saptashati. And Mash, people are very quick to say it means mas, it means meat. But Mash actually means urad dal. So you need to look at the Nirukta, the etymology, what is the source of the word. Then you can decide whether it means meat or not. So that's it. Then you've got your Dharma Shastras, the Manu Smriti, Yagyavalkya Smriti, Apastamba Smritis. Of course, before I went that side, I should have said the Upanishads. And these are some of the principal Upanishads that are mentioned there. The Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, which includes the Gita. Then you have your Darshan Shastras, your philosophical systems, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa and Vedanta. And you know that Sankhya, Yoga and Vedanta are the main topics that are discussed in the Bhagavad Gita. You get your Agama Shastras, the Upavedas, Artha Shastra dealing with wealth, Ayurveda dealing with sicknesses, Dhanurveda, weaponry, okay? Shilpa Sthapatya means architecture. And then you get your Puranas. So these are the authentic scriptures. So anybody who writes a book, whether I want to write a book, or Pandit Rishi wants to write a book, or you want to write a book, we can't call that book scriptural. Unless in that book, I am quoting from one of these scriptures over here. So Dharma Sindhu is not a shastra, not a scripture, but the author of Dharma Sindhu, every rule that he gives over there, he quotes from one of these scriptures. That's why we can quote Dharma Sindhu. Nirnay Sindhu references all these scriptures, therefore we can quote from Nirnay Sindhu. Any book that we use in Sanathan Dharma is only authentic if it takes us back to the original. And that's what I want us to understand. If as Purohits we can understand that, we will go a long way to removing confusion in society. You know, one time there was a visiting person from India here about 20 years ago, and he was insisting that Janev must only be worn by Brahmins and Kshatriyas, and he said that the Shudras and the Vaishyas should not wear Janev. So somebody asked him, where's the scriptural evidence for that? He had one small book in his pocket, he took it out and he said, it's written over here that the Shudras carry the, waste, human waste, therefore they mustn't wear Janev. But where he found that book, I don't know. Who he was quoting, and people very kept quiet suddenly and they accepted everything he said. So somebody just pulls out a book and they tell you that it says that over here. But where in the scripture here does it say that the Shudra should not wear? Because if you look at it, even Manusmriti says that everybody should be wearing Upnayan, Janev. So the point I'm making is just be careful about which book you are reading, and if the book is quoting a rule, it should be able to reference it back to one of these authentic scriptures. Otherwise, we have to be very careful. So I thought that introductory message note about what is a scripture is important. See, because we're talking about Devi worship, it's very important to understand what is Vedic and what is Tantric. There's a difference between these two here. Right? So, if we look at these two things, what is the difference? Of course, these are two religious systems that come from India. And for many centuries, they've been running parallelly together. In fact, Tantric worship can be traced back to the 6th century. So it's much, much younger than the Vedas. Vedas, of course, predate that. And when Tantric worship was introduced, that's when it got incorporated into Shaktiism. It wasn't always there. Shaktiism, or the worship of the mother, was always existed. As I showed you, it goes back to Devi Sukta. It's around the 6th century that this Tantric worship came into being. So while on the one hand, they are antagonistic to each other, they oppose each other, they also can complement each other. And I'm going to explain how that happens just now. So, the one thing about Tantra which is very peculiar, which is very important to understand, is that to a large extent it has fallen out of line with the true spirit of the Vedas. There are some aspects of Tantra which are what we call Vedic. They are not Vedic. So for example, there's a thing called Shat Karma Prayogas. Now Shat Karma means 6. There are 6 yogic things that are done. Neti, cleaning of the nasal. Dhauti, cleaning of the alimentary canal. Nauli, strengthening of the abdominal organs. Cleansing of the large intestine. Kapalabhati, you know this, what's his name? He's very famous for Kapalabhati, right? So Kapalabhati, cleansing of the frontal area of the brain. So these are some of the tantric ways of doing a yoga that exists. But it is very dangerous for someone to pick up tantra and use them. So these Shat karmas that I'm talking about, cleaning the alimentary canal and all that, that's just one example. Why? Because practicing tantra is like giving somebody a manual on how to make a bomb. There has to be some guide explaining in detail the right mix of chemicals. And this is why Tantra places so much importance on the notion of a guru who can offer help and guidance. So many Tantras also mention unorthodox methods. Unorthodox meaning it goes against what is in the Vedas. So for example, you have what is called Vam Achar and Dakshin Achar. Within Tantra, there are these 2 achars, Vam Achar and Dakshin Achar. So Dakshin Achar means the right hand path. And of course it's a technical term and it refers to those people within Tantra who don't go against the practices that are given to us in the Vedas. So within Tantra, if you are a Tantric, you are either a Vama Achar or you are a Dakshin Achar. If you are a Dakshin Achar, then all your opinions, all your doctrines are in accordance with the orthodox position. But if you are Vamachar, the left-hand path, then these are regarded as heterodox. They go against what is already in the Vedas, etc. So there are actually 6 kinds of achars. Achar means behaviors, actions. Veda, Vaishnava, Shaiva, Dakshin, Vam, Siddhant, Kola. But some of these fall within the Dakshin and some of these fall within the Vam. So you need to be careful about which Tantra you are following. But these paths are related to the 3 gunas. If you are a Dharma Achar, Dakshin Achar, that means you have more of the sattvic qualities in you. And those who follow the Vam Achar, they have more of the tamasic qualities. So, when we practice Tantra, we have to be careful that we don't deviate from the Vedas. And as I said, there's a never-ending debate between these 2 about the supremacy, which is better, Tantra or Vedas. Of course, we're not going to go too much into the details over there. But what is very interesting is that in the Devi Bhagavatam, the Devi Bhagavat Puran, so Devi Bhagavat Puran belongs to the table that I showed you first. So we can quote from there. Devi Bhagavat Puran says that by the end of Kali Yuga, people will lose interest in the Vedas and only Tantra will prevail. And given the shortcomings of Kali Yuga, this prophecy by itself implies the supremacy of the Vedas over the Tantras. So we know the Vedas are better because why? People don't know the Vedas, so therefore they're resorting to tantric ways of doing worship. And what is very interesting, in a book called the Meru Tantra, there's a conversation between Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. And Parvati asks Lord Shiva about Tantra. And you know what Lord Shiva says to her? He says, what is this, dear Parvati? Is this an effect of Kal, of time? Even you have begun to take an interest in Tantra. So Shiva goes on to explain that all forms of worship are not suitable for everybody. The Tantras are no doubt fruitful and hence are more relevant in this Kali Yuga, because people don't have proficiency and mastery in the Vedas, but definitely not supreme to the Shruti, to the scriptures that I showed you in the beginning. And you'll understand just now why understanding this difference between Vedas and Tantra is important, because it's going to help us to answer the questions that we sent to you. So in the Devi Bhagavatam, verses 2 to 20, the rites, ceremonies and methods of worship are also described. And Mother Durga herself says that external worship consists of both Vedic and Tantric forms. And she says that those who are initiated in Vedic mantras, where according to Vedic rites, and those initiated in Tantric mantras worship according to Tantric rites. And she says the Vedic form in which the senses must be controlled, you must be peaceful, you must be well concentrated, you must be void, you must not have egoism and vanity, and you must be devoted to her form. So if you are worshipping her in a Vedic way, these are the things that are required. And then she cautions, in the Devi Bhagavad, she cautions. She says, what is said in the Shruti and Smriti Shastras? The first table again. She says, that must be regarded as Dharma. And what is written in other Shastras, take them to be Dharma Abhas, a reflection of Dharma, a shadow of Dharma. They are not actually Dharma. So she reminds us that the Vedas have come from her omniscient and omnipotent nature, and that the Vedas can never be invalidated. So the Smritis are formed out of the meaning of the Vedas. Therefore, the Smritis, the Puranas, the scriptures that I showed you in the beginning, they are authoritative. Now, in some places, it is hinted that there are other Shastras than the Vedas, which is what I've been telling you. Taking Tantras indirectly into account. So although the matters relating to Dharma are mentioned in the Tantra Shastras, if they are contrary to the Smritis, then the Tantra must not be accepted by Vedic priests. And I would like to think that we are all Vedic priests. So the other Shastras, Shastra makers, are marked by the ignorance. So somebody who writes a book, if he doesn't take it back to the Shrutis and the Smritis, he's writing out of ignorance, and their sayings cannot be authoritative. See, we need to understand that if we are going to be able to answer the questions that are coming up just now. So therefore, we must always resort entirely to the Vedas and the authentic scriptures if we want to attain final liberation. This is what Mother Durga says in the Devi Bhagavatam. Alright. So, Devi continues to say that in those Tantra Shastras, some passages conform to the Vedas, they follow what is in the Vedas, and some contradict it. So it says, if a Vedic person resorts to passages in conformity with the Vedas, so you follow the Tantra, you can follow it, but if you're following those things which are in line with what is in the Vedas, then there cannot arise any fault in them. And she says the Brahmins, and I don't mean only people who are born into a Brahmin family, anybody who behaves like a Brahmin, are not adhikaris to those tantric texts that are contradictory to the Vedas. So if we are practicing anything, or if our yajmans are practicing anything that is contradictory to the Vedas, we're not adhikaris to that, because we are trained as Vedic priests. So therefore the Vedic Brahmins should resort to the Vedas with all care possible and make the Parabrahma of the nature of Dhyan manifest within them. So I thought this is an important thing to understand before we go into the answering the questions, because that sets the framework. It sets the lens along which we need to see when we give answers to our yajmans. So Durga Saptashati, as you know, has 700 verses. It's broken up into 3 charitas. Right? Chapter 1 is the first charit. Chapter 2, 3 and 4 is the second charita. 5 to 13 is the third charit. The first charit is about the killing of Madhukaitam, the first charit. The second charit is on Mahishasur. And the third one is about Shumb and Nishumb and all the people that come with him. So that's what is shown in the pictures over there. So that's just to explain. And that's why you'll find that, you see, each charit is dedicated to a Devi, it's dedicated to a meter, to a chanda, it's dedicated to, what are the other things? Rishi. So at the beginning of the first charit, you'll say, we are dedicated to Mahakali and we read a Vinayog. Then you read a Vinayog at the beginning of the second chapter, but you don't read it for the third and fourth because all that goes together. Fifth chapter we read a Vinayog again. So those are the three charit. What's the procedure? How do you go about reading the Durga Saptashati? Dhiraj, we don't have Sanskrit 99. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. I'll read it from here. You have to believe me that I'm reading it. So the procedure for the Durga Saptashati, and you'll find this in chapter 34 of the Vedic Devi Bhagavatam, right? I'm just summarizing it. Obviously, in the morning you must take a bath, you must finish your daily worship and other rituals, and then you sit on an asana facing east, and you try to evoke a state of concentration and devotion. It says the reading is most effective when it's done with firm faith, devotion, and correct pronunciation. Now remember, you are dealing with Durga Saptashati. If we mispronounce the word, then we're going to be asking for the wrong blessings. Right? You know, we say when we begin our puja, we say Nasti Tesham Amangalam. Nasti Tesham Amangalam is different from Nasti Tesham Mangalam. If you say Nasti Tesham Mangalam, you are saying remove auspiciousness from my life. But if you say Nasti Tesham Amangalam, then you are saying remove inauspiciousness. So people ask, why is pronunciation important? Because the communication, mantra, means the mind is connecting to God. And if the mind connects through the mantra with incorrect words, then we'll become like Kumbhakaran. He's supposed to ask for Indra Asan. And what he asked for? Nidra Asan. Therefore he sleeps all the time. Nidra means sleep. So correct pronunciation. And it says during the reading, one should not talk, sleep, sneeze, yawn or spit, but read with complete concentration on Devi in the form that appeals to one. So I'm sorry for all those pandits who take smoke breaks. And one should not stop in the middle of a chapter. And it is good to place the book on a stand, and at the beginning of each chapter, bells must be rung. Okay. And also, Durga Saptashati must not be read moaned. No silent reading of Durga Saptashati is allowed. Devi Bhagavat makes it very clear. It must be read, because you see, when you're reading softly, moan dhara, you don't know whether you're pronouncing correctly or not. Only by reading it out aloud will the pronunciation come. So it has to be read. So when do we read this? You can read it anytime. But the verse that you don't see there is Sharat Kale Mahapuja Kriyate Yacha Varshiki Tasya Mametan Mahatyam Shrutva Bhakti Samangita. So Sharat Kale, during autumn, Mahapuja, during the Mahapuja, during autumn time, Kriyate Yacha Varshiki, Varshiki which comes every year. Tasyam Mametan Mahatyam, this Mahatmyam of mine, Shrutva, you must listen to it. Bhakti Samanvita, with Bhakti. So very clear that Durga Saptashati, while it should be done any time and every time, it should especially be done during Sharat Kal. Of course, now in Ram Navami is a Navaratri. For us it will be Sharat Kal, but in India it will be spring, Vasant. And then in September when we do Navaratri again, for us it will be Vasant, but in India it will be Sharat, it will be the autumn. It recommends that Tuesday, Friday and Saturday are good days to do Durga Saptashati. So really speaking, any day is good, but these are specially given aside. And then in the Devi Bhagavatam as well as in Durga Saptashti, Ashtamyam wa Chaturdashyam Navamimam Cheki Cheki. So it means that the ideal days of the lunar calendar are Ashtami, the 8th day, Navami, the 9th day, and Chaturdashi. Those are very good days to do Durga Saptashati. Now, there are two ways to recite the Durga Saptashati. There's what we call Trayangam and Navangam. So Trayangam means you read Devi Kavach, Argala Stotra, and the Kilakam, and then you read the 13 chapters of the Durga. That's called Trayangam. Trayangam means 3. So that is what I think most of us do. Right? The Navangam, the 9th part reading, is where you do Devi Nyas. So you take the names of the Devi and you touch the different parts of the body. Devi Avahan, Devi Namami, Argala Stotra, Kilak Stotra, Devi Hridaya, Dhala, Devi Dhyan, Devi Kavach, and then you read the 13 chapters. But what is very important, whether you do the Trayangam or you do the Navangam, the Devi Bhagavatam says you must read all 13 chapters. Right? So it says that you must take a sankalp and you must do these things. So now it's time for me to get to the actual questions. Right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my view first. Note it down. Later on you can challenge me on it. Right? Okay. So, should Havan be done from chapter 11 onward or for all chapters? And this is what I see. There is reference to doing Homa, to doing Havan. But there is no stipulation that it must be done from the beginning. Or that it must be done from chapter 11. So, it seems that we have got into the habit, most of us, to do it from chapter 11 onwards. But if you have any information other than what I'm telling you, we are going to welcome that information. Where does it say when you must start doing the Havan? Whether you should start from the beginning or only do it from chapter 11 onwards. Then the next question is, what ingredients are offered in the Havan and why? And what is the scriptural evidence for this? So you would have noticed of late, people are now putting a lot of things into the Havan. I believe there's a Pandit in Johannesburg, on each night of Navaratri, he puts one sari into the fire during Purohit. Right? I was helping a temple out last year. They were stuck. Pandit had relocated. I volunteered to do the Durga Shakti for them. When I was doing the Purohit, I was horribly surprised. They brought a sari and put it into the fire before I can even do anything. So the question then is, what ingredients? Because I'll show you something. Look at this here. If you read in the Durga Saptashati, somebody has put this thing. They say, when you read Rogan Sheshan Pahansi Tushta, Rushta Kama, then you must put Giloi in the Ahuti. Giloi is a kind of flower plant. Then they say, when you're reading Sarva Baba Prashamanam from verse 39 onwards, Safed Sarso Yakali Mirch you must put into the fire. Then Bhaksha Yatyansta, that mantra there, you must put Anar into them. And then also from verse 44 onwards. So, I wanted to understand this carefully. Because it says here that you must put Anar from verse 44 onwards. That's in chapter 11. And what is the verse in chapter 11? It says, Bhaksha Yatyan Tastatanu Gran Ved Prachitan Mahasuran Rakta Danta Bhavishyanti Tadimi Kusumo Pamaha. What does it mean? I'm going to read its Hindi meaning for you now. Right? It says, Un Bhayankar Mahadeityo ko Bhakshan Karte Samay Mere Daat Anar Ke Phool Ki Bhati Lal Ho Gayi. Where does it say that you must put Anar into the fire? She is simply telling you, my teeth became Anar Ke Phool Ki Tadaha. She's trying to give an adjective for the color of her teeth when she killed. So who decided that you're going to put anar for this mantra here? Then they say, Shakam Bhariti Vikhyatim Tada Yasyayaham Bhuvi Tatriva Cha Vadishyami Durgam Akhyam Mahasuram. Verse 49. What does it mean? It says, ऐसे करने के कारण पृथ्वी पर शाकम भरी के नाम से मेरी ख्याति होगी. I will be popularly known as Shakam Bhari. Who decided that shaka here means vegetable and therefore you must put bhaji into the fire? I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm asking you, can you trace this back to the first table that I showed you in the beginning? Because we don't know who put this in the Durga Saptashati. Whoever printed this, they put it there. Can they provide us with the quotation from Devi Bhagavad Puran or from any other scripture, authentic scripture, that we must put Kali Mirch in the fire?
And start sneezing.
And start sneezing. You see, I've had the misfortune, or if you want to say good fortune. I did puja for one person some years ago. And when I started the Durga part, they put raw popcorn seeds in the Havan Samagri. And I scolded them. I told them, I told you all not to put any foreign ingredients in the Havan Samagri. But there's nothing I could do at that stage because they had it mixed already in the Havan Samagri. But it got even more irritating. What do you expect to happen to a popcorn seed when you put it in heat? It's going to pop, isn't it? As it was popping out, the judgments forgot about the puja. They're grabbing that thing as blessing and they're keeping it in the pocket. They're keeping it in the pocket. So now what I'm reading doesn't make sense to them anymore. So my good fortune is they never called me back to do puja. So, if you think about it, there's a verse which says, Til ardham tandul prokta, tandul ardham yavastakha, yavadharmam shankara prokta, ajya bhaga chatushtayam. It says, whatever quantity of sesame seeds is used, add half the amount of rice, and whatever quantity of rice is used, add half the amount of barley. Whatever the quantity of barley used, add half the amount of sugar, and to that add 2 portions, tablespoons of ghee. Nothing else is mentioned. So, that's what I think we need to understand about what should be included in the Havan Samagri when we are doing Havan. The next question, what is offered in the Balidan and what is the significance of this? So, it says, Durgaye Sangaya Saparivaraya Bhut Priyat Pishacha Vetat Adi Samyutaya Sayudhaya Sashaktikaya Savahanaya Imam Sadeepa Mash Bhakta Dadyod Nam Balim Samarpayami. What they're mentioning? Sadeepa, you must offer light. Mash, urad dal, dahi. They don't mention anything else. Anything else is traditional. We have to understand the difference between scripture and tradition. So you can continue with family tradition, but it doesn't mean that because at Saj Bhaiya's house, they are adding other things in the Balidan that I am not doing it, therefore I am doing wrong. I am not doing wrong. No dekha dekhi. You don't have to do what somebody else is doing. And just now you'll see how important the region you come from is when it comes to this. Okay. Does pumpkin and jaypal constitute the taking of a life? That means when I cut loki, I'm taking a life. When my wife cooks loki for me, I'm eating meat. What's the difference between loki and pumpkin? So this story about people will tell you, no, I can't cut jayfat because I'm doing clean plays. There is no dirty plays, so where you got clean plays from? So there's no such thing as there's life in this thing. It is not. In fact, the Devi Bhagavad has got verses on this. Right? On cutting of the pumpkin, Kushmanda. How many pieces should the pumpkin be cut in? It's traditional. From family to family it differs. Some families they cut it in half and that's it, done. Other families want to cut it in 9 pieces, perhaps because it links up to Navadurga. Some people want to do 13. That's fine, but you need to explain to people that there is no scripture that tells you how many pieces you must cut the pumpkin into. Unless, of course, you have it, and we're happy to see that. Then, is the cutting of lime a scriptural requirement? So in the Devi, you see, lime is a very important thing in Tantra worship. But it is believed that the lime is used in Tantra for removing evil spirits. That's why you find they take Mari Mircha lime and they hang it in front of the shops. In India they do that. Right? But in the Devi Bhagavatam, the Divine Mother suggests that we should offer lime to her. She says this, I become very pleased when one offers the following things to me. I'll mention the things. She says gur, honey, ghee, milk, curd, kushmanda, pumpkin, modaka, laddus, plantain, which is banana, mango, sesame, oranges, pomegranate, coconut, and jambira. And jambira is an Ayurvedic term for wild lemon. So it's there, it is offered to her. What should we do with the pumpkin after it is cut? Again, this is traditional. It depends on what you do in your family. Lots of people eat it because it's a vegetable. Right? Don't throw it away. I advise you, Yajmans, if for whatever reason they don't want to eat it, we don't want to disturb the faith. Give it to some poor person, let them eat it. They don't know about life and not life and all that. Let somebody eat that pumpkin. Why must you throw it away? Okay. How many sets or should sari be offered? So, Devi Bhagavad says that during Navratri, the murti should be adorned with the sari. But, again, we must be very sensitive to the affordability of the yajman. So one of my yajman said that she doesn't wear the saris. She's a retired lady now, so she don't wear the saris anymore. So she said, I wear Punjabis. Can I offer a Punjabi? I said, well, if you want to. I said, well, I'll give you a better suggestion. She said, what, Panditji? I said, offer a cheap sari, not very expensive. Take the sari and the prasad, go to EBH, give it to some old Mataji. They give her some prasad, then give her the sari to wear. She accepted it. But not scripture told, no scripture told me. I'm just using my logic. And I'm saying, you still can carry on giving the sari. Nobody's saying you have to bring a Banarasi sari and put it over there. Alright? So, then, how many sets of halwa puri? Again, how much can you eat? Again, people put 9 sets because they say that there's Nav Durga. Then when they do Lakshmi Puja, they put 8 sets because they say Ashta Lakshmi. So I don't know where they get these numbers from, right? The important thing is, you need to make enough prasad that will suffice for your family and for those who are coming, so that nobody gets turned away without prasad. Again, you see, no scripture will tell you how much of this you can, this thing, right? So this was with regard to Durga Saptashri. How am I for time? Okay, and then how should Navaratri be observed? So there are some questions. What is the significance of the saltless fast? So Upavas is definitely recommended in our scriptures. Right? You can go right up to the Vedas, they talk about Upavas. But Upavas for Dharma, not Upavas for diet. This is what you call it then? Intermittent diet. That's not Upavas. The scriptures are very clear. You must do Upavas for Dharma. Because you want to have a spiritual connection with Bhagwan. So, there's definitely, the saltless fast is a very significant thing, not only during Navaratri. I know people get obsessed about saltless fast during Navaratri. Everywhere I go, Panditji, you fasting? I said, what do you mean by fasting? You must define fasting. Right? But we must also fast at other times as well. So, recently we were looking at some social media platforms, and people had food stalls for Shivratri. And Shiv Mahapuran says so clearly that Shiva says, nothing satisfies me more than a person who observes a saltless fast on Shivratri night. So, saltless fast is not only during Navratri. All our pujas say that there should be, fasting should take place. What is the significance of colors during Navratri, and is it scriptural? So you know the story. People are asking on Facebook, the moment Navratri is coming, they want to know who has the colors of the day. So, see, color plays a very important part in Sanathan Dharma. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when my late father Pandit R.R. Maharajh and my late Guruji Pandit H.R. Maharajh used to give talks, and they used to tell people, don't wear black and blue and come to do pujas, people used to laugh at them. People used to jeer them and say, these Panditjis are overdoing it now. I guarantee you the same people are asking what color must wear during Navratri. But yet 20 years ago, when the Gurujis told us, wear bright colors during puja, we laughed at them. We said, no. Somebody told Pandit H.R. Maharaj, but my heart is clean. It doesn't matter what color clothes I wear. So that poor fellow, wrong person he spoke to, it was his graduation. He said, okay, you're going for graduation next week. He said, yeah. He said, you worked very hard and you passed. Yes. Wear shorts and t-shirt and go. Don't worry about wearing the black suit that they want, because you worked hard. It doesn't matter whether you are wearing shorts and t-shirt. You worked hard, they must give you your certificate. No, I can't do that, Guruji. Why? Because they want me to wear black suit and come. Oh, you can wear black suit and go there, but now you're telling me your heart is clean for the puja. Or for that matter, when you're working in your garden, put your 3-piece suit on and go. When your heart is clean, the vegetables will still grow. This was part of Guruji's argument, right? So colors are important, especially with the different festivals. But the problem is we become fixated with colors. It's like people want to go and buy the particular color because they don't have it. Because we're putting pressure on them in our temples and saying the color tomorrow is saffron yellow. Now that Benji doesn't have saffron yellow, and she's going online and she's going to order something from somewhere. Because when she comes to the temple the next day, everybody is wearing saffron yellow and she doesn't have saffron yellow. So can you see what we're doing with this color issue now? So we think that it's more important to concentrate on other things, on the fasting, on the puja, on the recitation of mantras. But let me tell you something about the colors. And I promise you, you must do this year. When Navratri is going to come, I want you to go on Google and check Navratri colors in Maharashtra. And then check Navratri colors in Gujarat. I'll put my head on the block here. You'll get 2 different sets of colors given to you. Because the colors are regional. It depends which state you are living in India. And who started this? The Times of India started this about 10 years ago, because they wanted to create a hype about Navratri. Because I have been in Mumbai in Navratri, there's no place on the roads to walk. Everywhere there are pandals on the road. People are dancing on the road, Garba all the time. And to do the Garba, they all must come in one color dress so that the entire pandal looks beautiful. It was started by the media house. And the color is regional. It depends which region you are living in India. So, it is, as far as I am concerned, it is not scriptural. And to make it worse, it's not linked to the colors of the Devi. Does anybody know how they decide on the colors? It's not the same every year. The first color is determined by what the first weekday is in Navratri on that year. That's how the cycle of colors starts. And who does this? The media houses do this in India. So suddenly the media is becoming our 5th Veda. So we need to be careful about fixating on colors and putting unnecessary pressure on the devotees who are coming to our temple. So there's another new thing. And the reason I put this question is, I don't know whether you have had this problem. Again, I went to do a Durga Part in a Panch Puja last year. And I discussed the procedure with the people, everything. They were all happy with it. They were all happy with it. I finished the Havan and I went away into the Mandir. I'm waiting for the Yajman to come so that I can do the Balidan, the Aarti and finish. In the meantime, nobody is coming in the temple. So I went outside, and what they're doing in the adjoining places, the Nagara is getting set up, the sari is getting put onto the floor, and the fellow is already warming up the Nagara. So I said to them, wait a minute, I discussed this procedure vidhi with you. I told you, you can have whatever you want. After I did the Visarjan, because I did a Avahan, I did a Sankalp, and I haven't fulfilled that Sankalp yet. No, Panditji, we're going to do the Kanya Puja. The people are waiting there for this. I said, the people, I don't care about them. I am going to do the Visarjan inside. You come or you don't come, I'm finishing the puja inside. I finished the puja. They didn't give me prasad. I took one fruit from the shrine. I jumped in my car and I went to him. Because they had no interest in the end of the puja. They were only interested in setting up for the so-called kirtan outside. So what is this kirtan? We need to understand this. Because 20 years from now, if one of your children do Durga Part and they don't have kirtan, the whole community will say, hey, what kind of puja they did? They didn't have kirtan. Because we didn't teach our children whether kirtan is scriptural or not. And when we don't teach our children that it will become part of their this thing, and then somebody will... It's like the man who used to tie his dog every morning. His son went and bought a dog and started tying the dog. Because he thought that you can't do puja without tying the dog. So, this word kirtan means to recite, to praise or to glorify. That's what kirtan means. So it's an act of glorifying the divine. So, the purpose of this kirtan is that we want to increase our devotion to God. Am I right? What's the purpose of kirtan? To elevate us ourselves spiritually. So there's the question that I want to ask, and I don't know what the answer is. Are we saying that the moment the Satyanarayan Katha finishes, I am not feeling spiritually elevated, therefore I have to have one bhajan after every chapter? And therefore I have to have a satsang to come after the Katha, because the Panditji didn't do a good job with the Satyanarayan Katha. Why am I having satsang on the same day as my Satyanarayan Katha? When the Satyanarayan Katha is there to elevate me spiritually. When the Durga part is finished, am I saying that I'm not feeling spiritually elevated, therefore I have to have kirtan on the same day? Then what about those people who are saying, Panditji, this 13-day ceremony is taking too long. You all need to shorten this thing. Our young people are running away from our religion, they're becoming Christians. So I'll shorten the 13-day ceremony. But then you sit for 2 hours doing bhajans. After that, the poor Pandit is sitting, he got no food to eat. Suddenly the mantras and the pindadan must be shortened. Why? Because you're going to put a picture of the deceased there with a fruit arrangement and mithai arrangement, and you're going to sing bhajans. Can you see how, what I told you earlier on, in Kali Yuga, we'll forget about the practices and the teachings of the Vedas and we'll start doing other things. I am not saying stop the people from doing that. That's their right. They can do whatever they want. I'm saying as Pandits, do we know what the right thing is? And are we going to speak with one voice? So that's the why we are asking these questions over here. We must speak with one voice and we must make it clear. By the way, I have a list. Pretty, I didn't bring it. In my list, in red writing, it says very clearly, whether you're my judgment, I'm doing puja for them for 10 years or for 1 year, it says very clearly there, no bhajans will be sung while I am doing the puja. And if they don't agree with that, I say find another pandit. I don't allow it. I had a person who wanted to put the deceased picture on the stage. I said, find another pandit, I'm not doing your wedding. I can't stop you from doing that, but I won't be the pandit that will do it. Because my father is my God. But he's not great. My father is still not greater than Sri Ramchandraji. So he can't be on the same pedestal as Ramchandraji. I don't care what the sentiment is. I will not put my father's picture on the stage while I am doing puja to Bhagwan Sri Vishnu. So we must be confident and clear about these things. Then what about the issue of Garba? So let me give you a little bit history. In Bengal, during Navaratri, they do Dhunuchi Nach. You must have seen it. They take the earthen pot with smoke in it and they dance around like this here. So in Bengal, during the whole period of Navaratri, they do the Dhunuchi dance. But in Gujarat, they don't do the Dhunuchi dance. They do Garba. Because Dhunuchi belongs to the Bengalis. That's their traditional dance. Garba belongs to the Gujaratis. That's their traditional dance. I come from Uttar Pradesh. My dada is from Uttar Pradesh. My dadi is from Bihar. That's why sometimes I'm very, very cool and quiet. Sometimes I'm a Bihari. So, because I come from those areas there, what are the folk dances that my ancestors did? They did Charkula, they did Ras Leela, Kathak, Ram Leela, Khayal, Nautanki, they did Nautanki, Dadra and Kajari dance. That's what they did. They do in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. And in Bihar, they also do Jijia. There's a dance called Jijia dance. They do it during Navaratri. So what are you seeing here? You're seeing that the dance aspect during Durga Puja is cultural and it is regional. So my question then is, how then did we settle on doing Garba during our Navaratri? I'm saying that there are so many regional dances that are linked to Durga Puja. Why did we decide on the Garba? Why? Something to think about. A very common question, when should one break Salter's fast? The Devi Bhagavatam says that the worshipper is to take his first meal after fasting on the 10th day. Devi Bhagavad is saying, I'm not saying, Devi Bhagavad is saying. So every year we get this question, when can I break my fast, Panditji? And it says, and by the way, I didn't want to say this, but I'll say it. The Devi Bhagavad says you must first feed a Brahmin, then you must break your fast. So you see, the Brahmin is always cashed in, right? So it's on the 10th day. And then the last question, when should Kanya Puja be done? Either on the 8th or the 9th day of Navaratri. You can do it on either day. Either the 8th day or the 9th day. So, the purpose of this presentation then was to alert us to what is happening in the Hindu community. And we must be very clear about what is authentic scriptures, what is Vedic, what is Tantric, and we have to be clear about what are traditions and what are scripture. You see, if we as Pandits are clear on that and we speak with one voice, then nobody is going to attack us, nobody is going to say anything. But we must be confident about what we are saying. And the confidence comes through reading, through doing research. But remember that we must always go back to what are the authentic scriptures. Now it will be a good opportunity to engage in some discussion with you. And please feel free to challenge what I've said. It doesn't mean that because I'm speaking here, I am the authority. I'm giving you the research that I have done. Maybe there's a fault in my logic. Maybe there's a fault. I'm not seeing something properly. You can help us to clear that so that we can find a way moving forward. Acha. So, is there anybody who would like to give a start to the discussion? Maybe you want to ask a question or you want to add to what I've said. As I said, please feel free. Panditji, go ahead.
Thank you, Panditji. You mentioned about the saltless fasting. Yes, I think all of us understand that and the significance of it. What if the Yajman is someone who has to take medication, and that medication requires that yajman to eat. And the food that is required to be eaten is salt. And you as the priest as well have a medical issue. And you are also required to eat. What happens in that case? Is it acceptable?
The scriptures say that the rules of fasting do not apply to those who are ill. So anybody who has health conditions are exempt from the rules of fasting. By the way, I'm not sure whether I read it on the internet now, but I'm given to understand that rock salt has far less effect on the body than the normal salt comes with heavy, it's adulterated salt. That salt has been tampered with, and so it has an impact on the body. Rock salt is far better, it's far healthier to eat. So we can recommend that they eat with rock salt, or if they cannot have rock salt, then there are exceptions to the people who are in. Am I right, Pandit? So that is absolutely right. Pandit, you see, and then Benji will go to you afterwards.
Basically, mostly in the bottled water has got some sodium mixing. So if you look at labels, everything is saltless. There's some sort of sodium in it. So you can't be so particular about the ingredients that's there. But from your point of view, you can observe as much as you can.
You can. Benji?
What happens if a yajman says, we never cut a pumpkin before?
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So, I mean, I go to places and people say, Panditji, we only cut one Jain pal. I say, no problem. See, because it's traditional. And it depends on the family, what they do. So some families I go to, they say, Panditji, we cut the pumpkin in 13 pieces. So I joke with them and ask them, what's the purpose of it? But eventually I say, no, I cannot. I'll read the mantra, you cut. See, maybe that Benji wants her husband to cut it in smaller pieces so it's easy to cook later. Panditji?
Panditji, with regard to the fasting and people eating salt because of the health conditions, is it not recommended they should actually have sattvic bhojan for that particular day? If they're going to eat salt?
Yeah, no. So I know of people who used to do a saltless fast during Navratri. Now, don't laugh at this, right? I mean, this is how people. They used to do a saltless fast. So what they used to do, and how I know about it is because I used to do puja for them during Navratri. And so when they used to dish out my lunch, they used to ask me, are you eating salt? I said, yes, I'm eating salt. Then they used to put the salt in my food only. Because the rest of the house used to eat the beans curry and the rice and the dal without salt in it. So they said they're doing a saltless fast. Again, look here, we can't dictate everything to our yajmans, right? I don't know what health issues they have. So they used to put the salt in my food and then they used to eat. So you do get people who eat normal food, sattvic food, and they don't put salt in it. Panditji?
Okay. In as much as the fasting is part of the celebration of Maharajh. Now our youngsters, when you tell them to do that, it's a huge. So is it not appropriate in order to encourage our youngsters to fast? Right? Ask them to observe a saltless fast maybe on the first day. Right? Then on the 6th day and on the 9th day, to induct them into this whole philosophy of doing saltless fast. And hopefully, and I say that with a lot of faith, that in about 5 years' time, the same very children will pull the 9-day saltless.
Look, you have to do it stepwise. There's no question about
That's why I said we introduce them.
Because again, Guruji Pandit H.R. Maharaj used to tell us, Karata karata abhyasa jarmati hota sujan. Karata karata abhyasa. Jarmati, even somebody who's got the brains of a root, sujan, they become enlightened. So you got to start them. But I can take your suggestion even one step further. let's start making them fast one day in the week,
No,
every week,
right?
on a Tuesday. So that by the time Navratri comes, they'll be able to fast. But you see, we must also remember, fast is one aspect. Can we also encourage and teach them about the other bhakti that is associated with? So, are they attending mandir? It doesn't matter if they had a meal. Are they coming to the mandir in the evening? Are they listening to the pujas? Are they participating? Are they learning?
Yeah, no, that will go hand in hand.
Yeah. Panditji?
Yeah, I just want to add something based on quite a few of the comments. That we are saying it's okay to practice certain traditions as long as it does not contradict the Vedas. That's fine. But I think our role as Purohits is to make sure that the Yajman understands that it is a tradition. That means, like Pandit Lokesh said, one Yajman said, I will only cut one J5. We allow it, but we must say to them, yes, that's because it is a tradition. And that tradition does not contradict the Vedas. Another Yajman may say, no, we cut 9 J5. And you again say to him, yes, it's a tradition. So that when the two Yajmans interact, they don't say, these Pandits don't know what they are doing. In my house I cut one, in the other house. So you need to make it clear to them, this is not a standard rule that will apply across for everybody. It is traditional because it does not contradict scripture. Yes, you may do it. So, and that does not only apply to J5. So for example, you spoke about fasting. We need to tell the children, the ideal is you must fast for 9 days, but we want you to get used to it slowly. So for you, we are relaxing the rule and giving you an opportunity to grow into fasting. We need to tell them that. Otherwise, it's going to become a standard rule just now. No, you only fast on the first day, 6th day and 9th day. Whereas that is not the standard rule. Thank you.
Benji in the back and then Panditji after that.
You mentioned that there is the because which is the Camry reading is auspicious for Tuesday, a Thursday and a Saturday. And I just want to confirm that is not Tithi specific, that the Krishna Pastor.
Yeah, those are, you see, each day of the week is actually dedicated to a particular deity. So Monday is generally for Shiva, Tuesday is Durga, Hanuman as well. Wednesday is for Bhagwan Sri Vishnu. Thursday, Ganesh Bhagwan, Ganesh is Wednesday as well. But that doesn't mean that if I missed for Ganesh Puja on a Wednesday, I can't do it on Thursday. So these are ideal days that are given. But you know what they say, Desha Kalecha,
Yeah.
right? According to your Desh, according to this place you live in, the times, you can do puja anytime. So Satyanarayan Katha, by the way, in the Satyanarayan Katha, what is the best time to do Satyanarayan Katha? In the evening. It says when light in light. But how many of our Shivans do it in the morning? Fine, nothing wrong with that. They're looking at their convenience. There's so many things that they have to look at. If we can do it according to what is there, but other than that, if you can't do it on Ashtami or you can't do it on Nomi or Chaturdashi, I mean imagine if all our Yajmans want to do Durga Path on Ashtami, Nomi and Chaturdashi only. What happens for the rest of the days? So we have to be this thing about that. Panditji, you, and then I think Suren Bhai, you had your hand.
Greetings to everybody. I just want to give my opinion because I've been doing prayers for decades. That time there were no workshop. Nothing at all workshop. I used to make my own notes while I'm going any function. When the priests are doing, I'm seeing what they're doing. That's how some of the priests from whom I took notes, they're gone. They're no more yet. I think you all know Lokesh, Maharajh, Pandey, all this. I learned that well. Why I learned that well? Because I knew Hindi. So I should go to Rupanand, Victoria Street and buy the book because I know what the books are required. But now, I'm doing for years, but now, today I'm hearing a lot of story. I'm not against the story, but I'm just telling you how I used to do prayer and now how everything is going to change now. Like let's take for sisters. We take for the Durga. Durga, they divide 3 days. One for Durga, one for Lakshmi, one for Saraswati. That's what I know, my understanding. I don't know if anybody can support me about that. Nobody in that case. They divide for Durga, Saraswati 3 days, and then Lakshmi 9 days. And then on the 10th day, they used to pray to advance. 9, 10, 10. And that's one part of it. Now, we only are embarking on Durga. What about Saraswati and Lakshmi? Come in the Navratri. I know that Navratri is for all the mothers. That's what I know. I don't know if anybody can support me.
No, you are correct. You correct.
Yeah, that's what my opinion.
That is why.
Right. Now, you can see everything is going to be in a different shape. Furthermore, when you elaborate on that, you will see one Pandit doing another way, then the Jagman will tell you, why that Pandit did like that? Then another Pandit will do another way, that Pandit will say, why you doing like that? Like for example, nutmeg. They say they cut nutmeg. Some people I know, when they cut, they start off with side D, outside D, one nutmeg, then put D, inside, then for the mothers. Some people cut 9, some people cut 1. Like for Mother Bandi, Mother Durga, but not for Lakshmi, Saraswati, these are the mother. And then, not the last one is about this bhajan. But I know when I did kata a lot of places, a lot of time I should do my kata and then tell them carry on with bhajan. Then finally it's coming a war. Then what I do my own discretion. When I do such chapters, so then I stop, I say to them, carry on sing a bhajan, stop, then I'll proceed with that. I'm my own program, I built up that. So I'm looking for time, I'm looking for giving them, time to sing bhajan, because they don't want to wait till the prayers over and sing bhajan, unless it's a kirtan. You understand? Kirtan after the prayer, then they do dancing, and music. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Surendra?
Firstly, I want to understand the word Balidan, and then I'll ask some questions. I want to first understand the word Balidan.
So Balidan means to give up something. Am I right? Sacrifice. Yeah. It's a sacrifice. It's a self-sacrifice.
If I can add something that the word Bali is not specifically related to giving up a life. So, as Hindus, we are supposed to do what is called Kak Bali, Swan Bali, Atiti Bali, and Go Grass. So, if you take Bali to mean giving up a life, then Kak Bali would mean to kill a bird. And Swan Bali would mean to kill a dog. And Atiti Bali, no visitors will come. Right? So Bali means you provide for. You give up your material possessions
For somebody else.
for the animals, for the birds, for your visitors. So when you do Balidan, you are giving up these things for Devi Mata.
Go ahead.
All the word of Balidan also means taking a life in one way, right? Sacrificing, right? Well, some people sacrifice animals as well, right? And I have a problem with the Durga Saptasati, chapter 12, verses 10 and verses 20 of the thing. In verse 20, and I'm sure the Maharajh is spoken by Devi herself. He says in verse 20 that she is gratified by the offerings of Pashu, animals. Dhub, agarbatti, deep, incense, and sprinkling of water, offering Brahman's food, doing havan, etc. All is rituals that we do. She is gratified by that, but she is more gratified when one reads the Durga Saptasati. So, is it wrong? Mother has said that in please read it for me and explain it as well. Is it wrong when somebody chooses to offer the sacrifice of an animal? And then also want to read verse 10 of that.
So, student, I want you to concentrate on the verse that you just, the words that you said. He said, besides these here, she is more satisfied when you read Durga Saptasati. What does that mean to you?
I agree.
What does it mean to you?
Firstly, I'm a vegetarian. I practice ahimsa as well. I'm not promoting sacrificing animals, but people do that. But mother said she's gratified by it, but more gratified when we read the Saptasati.
Okay, so if I come to your house and I say, I'm happy to eat roti. I'm more happy if you give me dal roti. What you'll cook for me?
We will give you what you want. We will dal roti.
So we must tell the people, she's happy with Pashu. She's more happy when you read the Durga part for her. Give her what makes her more happy.
Actually, we do tell her, but it's written in the book. Because then we also go to worship.
You're missing the logic.
There's 3 types of worship.
You're missing the logic. There are lots of things that are written in the book. There are lots of things that are written in the book. The same book that you're talking about is saying, I am more satisfied with that. More satisfied means one is better than the other. Why should you choose the lesser of the better? Did you hear?
I mean, no way promoting animal sacrifice, but I'm just trying to bring up what the book is.
No. What I'm worried about is with that line of thinking, you may go and tell the Yajman something wrong outside.
I always tell them, the reading of the Shabbat is much more.
Okay, the word Pashu can be interpreted as an animal, like a rat, a dog, a mongoose. You notice I didn't mention goat? No. But let me finish. It could also be interpreted as the animals within us. But another side to that, this is where the interpretation comes in. Where does it say in that verse that you must cut the animal and give it to me?
Are you cutting the agarbatti? Are you cutting the flowers?
You understand? So, for those who interpret it as that, to me, it does not make sense. I'm not saying they are right, I'm not saying they are wrong. But according to my logic, when Bhagwan says we must kele ka phal must be given, we offer the banana, after that we cut and eat it. Isn't that so? Why are we specifically saying for the Pashu it must be cut? Offer the animal like that, free, release it, sacrifice it, give it up in the name of Devi. Okay? So that's my opinion, that's my logic. But again, others may look at it in a different way. But what I am saying is, what Pandit Lokesh said earlier on about Brahmins do not have adhikar for Tantra. We need to remember that as well.
I also want to comment and clarify on that verse further, right? Besides the word Pashu, the word Pushpa, Arga, Dhupa, Gandha, Deepa is used. Okay? We're not commenting on what we do with any of those things, and all of us know what we do with those things. What do? We offer it. Now, could Pashu not mean Goda?
Yeah, that's what.
Look at all the pure, beautiful things. Look at the context of this text. Why are we gone so far down the road when all of us have been educated on Goda? And every kind of yagya that was performed, you go and read about it. Krishna Bhagavan performed yagya. Ram Bhagavan performed yagya. It always says they gave away thousands of cows in charity. Why are we not relating it to that? Why are we gone so far down the road? See, it also tells us about our own minds. If our minds are not right, how will we correctly influence others? We're talking about flowers, agarbatti, diya. Suddenly we got...
When we explain this verse to the people, we mustn't do it with a view to wanting to stop them from sacrifice. It must be to make them understand what Pashu means. That's how we must explain it to them. After that, if they want to continue, that's the decision that they are making. See, because again, just to elaborate on the point that Pandit Rishi made, how did we decide that Pashu is a goat? Because there's another word for goat in Sanskrit. Where did we decide? Because some people also sacrifice a buffalo. In India, people actually cut a buffalo during Durga Puja. How did they decide that Pashu means buffalo?
But Lokesh, it doesn't mean a domesticated animal.
Sorry?
Pashu. Domesticated.
But not necessarily.
Because when Shiv Bhagwan is called Pashupati, he's not only the lord of the domesticated, he's also the lord of the undomesticated. So Pashu ka
So just to help Shree know, the line of thinking that we have here is that yes, it's there, but we need to understand how do we translate the word Pashu. You understand me? Again, it comes down to Nirukta, etymology. What are the different meanings of the word Pashu? Because in Sanskrit, one word doesn't have one meaning only. Its meaning changes in context, in the context in which it is used. So we need to be careful with that thing. Yes, Vijay Bhai?
Yeah. And Sajid said, for Gauda, we are substituting something else to give when you bring an animal. You're not using an actual cow, right? So here it says, I got this whole thing from 20 to 30 years. The entire glorification of mind draws a devotee very near to me. And by means of finest cattle, that is to give away, right? Flowers, water, arghya, that is water, incense, and by perfumes and lamps, of feeding brahmanas, by oblations, dhar and home, by sprinkling consecrated water, and by various other offerings and gifts, if one worships me day and night in a year. There's nothing about culling of any animal.
See, we just need to be clear as priests about how we're going to explain this to our yajmans in a sensitive way. Ultimately, if they want to continue with that, that's a decision that they are going to make.
Correct.
Which, of course, they'll have to do without our support. Achha, somebody, Benji? Yes.
Yeah, I had...
Yeah, go ahead, Benji.
On that point, what I meant is that the word Pashu is used, but it doesn't say a dead Pashu.
Yes.
It just says Pashu. Just like whenever you gave a dan, they gave dan a lot of Pashu to the Brahman. Means they gave cattle, cows to the Brahman. Even a cow falls under the name Pashu. So they gave that as dan. If you give him dan to mother, then that's what you give him. You give him a cow to mother, eventually that cow will be handed over to the Brahman, to the priest. That's how it would work. Now, my question was something else.
Yeah.
We go to that.
Yeah, sure.
Earlier you were talking about the 3 chapters, the 3 charitras, and said we should not stop in the middle while reciting. Now we have quite a few of us, we share the recitation. So, because the first charitra is short and the middle one is long, we share it up. So, if we are going to be sharing, how do we do that transition without breaking that rule?
Yeah, the restriction is when you start a chapter, you do not stop until you finish that chapter.
Chapter, okay, not the chapter.
Not
The chapter. So you'll find that some pandits also, they alternate lines.
Yeah.
So if you're reading chapter 1, I read the first line, he reads the second line, and we alternate. But there's a continuous flow of that side. Correct. But Panditji, you have your hand up?
Thank you for the opportunity. Just a couple of comments. I think the issue of Balina. Just to draw our attention to Varabandi motion. And even Sanathan. We learn there how Prabhu Sri Ram has been prepared for Balina. By who? Ahira, the demons. That was a demonic approach to things. That's from the Balina. It was a human sacrifice that was being prepared. Of course, we know that didn't materialize. Because the Lord Himself chanted Bandi Mata. That's what's said in Bandi Mata. Another point, just a couple of comments as well. I just want to make a caution as well. Because this particular esteemed organization has been in existence for many years. And we great privilege and honor of learning from Starbucks who have come to the same gurus whose names were mentioned here as well. So in that time, certain methodology was promoted. There is no doubt in my mind. We have been going through a process of evolution, but based on teachings, no doubt. So my only proposal is that as we go into the future with the teachings that Bhaji put so nicely, let us not make radical change. Let us be sensitive as well as we do it. It is more about, in my understanding, educating as we go forward for the current and new next generations. Thank you. Those are my comments.
I just want to make it short. The North Indian and the South Indian both sacrifice goat. Some people sacrifice parmesan. Okay? Especially in the North Indians for deciding. Now, who is Kali? Can you give me a definition of Mother Kali? Can you?
Kali is the one who destroys all evils.
But to my understanding, my opinion is Mother Kali is a bloodthirsty mother. Bloodthirsty mother with the tongue out.
Haji, you must read the Kali Chalisa. It says, Khoon, what's it? Mas khoon se nahi chuawe. In the Kali Chalisa, right in the end, it says, Mas khoon se nahi chuawe. So this is a misconception that Kali is a bloodthirsty god.
Yeah, but when there was a fight, it is the Kali Chalisa, when they had a fight, Mother Kali was there because of blood from the woman falling down the head is originating into life. So Mother Kali was stuck in blood.
Haji, you go ahead. Yeah.
There is nothing such as sacrifice, number one. It all started by human beings. The traditional thing carried on for years, centuries. People were living on the cross. There was a child sick. I got a ritual book in Purohit. In the ritual book it says clearly, those who sacrifice will find some peace, but later on suffer and take a lower birth. So when Mother Kali had to kill Rakta bears, she did not swallow the blood. She kept it in the tongue. In the oven also it created Agni Kali in the stomach and burned the blood. She is not a blood-sucking god. The people got it wrong. Thank you, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
पहली बात यह है कि अगर हम इस संस्था के सदस्य हैं तो हमारा विचार जैसे लोकेश भाई ने कहा है एक होना चाहिए और यहाँ हम आकर और बात कर रहे हैं जो इस संस्था के विचार से सहमत नहीं है. How can we be Pandits in South Africa belonging to the South African Hindu Mahasabha and Purohit Council and have an opinion that is going against the tradition that we are trying to establish? Now, not only are we doing the sacrifice which we should not be doing as members of the organization, but now we are justifying that wrongdoing. Yet we claim to be members of this organization which does not allow. It's like me going to AA and saying I want to drink. It goes against the principles that govern that organization. So, for us to sit here and try and justify Balidan as it is the sacrifice of animal life goes against the principles of the South African Hindu Mahasabha. ये पहली बात है. दूसरी बात यह है कि काली का अर्थ यह नहीं है कि वो रक्त पीते हैं. काली का शब्द जैसे लोकेश भाई ने कहा है, इसका जोड़े है काल रात्रि से. जब दुनिया का अंत होता है, जब सृष्टि के अंत होता है तो सब अंधकार होता है, वो काल है और वो काल रात्रि है, क्योंकि रात में सब काला ही होता है। तो उस बात से, उस विचार से काल रात्रि जुड़े हुए हैं और काली भी जुड़े हुए हैं। Kali is associated with Kal Ratri, which is the end of the dissolution of the entire universe, which is also a scientific fact. At the end of this era or epoch, we will have a pralay, where there will be nothingness. That's Kal Ratri. That is Kali. So it's nothing to do with drinking blood or being bloodthirsty. She is the dissolver. That is the name given to her as the dissolver. It is not associated with blood. Finally, I must emphasize again, it frightens me that we are trying to justify that thing which is against the South African Hindu Buddhism, the South African Sanathan, which is blood sacrifice. I can't understand.
Can I just add something to what Rohit Bhai has said? We are not saying we must forcefully stop people who are engaging in sacrifice. But we are saying, as Purohits, we must try in a sensitive manner to educate them. If they choose to continue, that's their business. But we cannot start saying to them, no, it's fine if you do that. No, we can't say that. We need to tell them, this is what our scriptures say. We need to tell them that when you see Kali with the tongue hanging out, it is only because that image had to be taken up for a specific purpose, not because she's enjoying it. So, and I use this example often. If a house is on fire and a 2-year-old child is inside and the mother is outside, what will be her natural instinct? To run inside at her risk and save the child. Does that mean on the anniversary of that house fire, you're going to make that mother go into a burning fire every year? No, she did that because that was what was required of her at that time. It is not what she enjoys doing every year. So we must be clear that people can practice what they want to practice. It does not make it right. It does not mean it will have the support of a Purohit who knows what is right from wrong. We must sensibly and sensitively educate them. If they don't accept it, that is their choice. But we have done our duty. We cannot be faulted for not having tried.
एक और बात जो मैंने भूल दिया, ये रक्त दंडिका के घटना जो हुई थी दुर्गा सप्तशती में, रक्त दंडिका ने किसके खून पिया? She drank the blood of the humans. So if we want to sacrifice blood in her name, then we're going to have to kill people, not animals. That is the logic, if you're going to use that.
Because this Rakta keeps getting up. So in order to prevent Rakta Bindu, those drops of blood were falling, to rejuvenate and utpan again, she must take all that blood. It is symbolic. So she prevents his DNA from waking up again and growing up. That's what she is doing. So when you are meditating, when you have an enemy, you sit with Mother Kali in front of you and you worship her and you tell her, Mother, drink the blood of all those enemies. You don't take your enemies and you offer it to her. You don't kill them. You say, destroy all the enemies. May all the Rakshasas be destroyed. You are meditating on her so that you can awaken. It's a mantra. Remember, the whole Durga Saptashati is a mantra. It's a huge mantra. That's why you're not supposed to stop. When you recite it, you are awakening the mantra. You must do Jagran for it, right? And then it's going to go into like a computer program. It's going to go into effect. So you're telling her, I want you to do this. Kill all the Rakshasas. It won't happen physically. It's going to happen emotionally, spiritually, and so on. You don't have, but they are all human beings, as Panditji mentioned. And then just one more point, if I may. The word acha. Excuse me, I would like you to go and look into it. Very long ago, I did a talk. The word aja means goat. It also means grain. So when you see it there and says aja should be offered, why you choose goat over grain? Goat comes from the Islamic tradition. They sacrifice the goat. You don't have to sacrifice the goat, but if you've been doing it for a long time, and this is also an important fact, you have created a program, you awakened that mantra in that form with a goat. So the person who stops doing it might have problems because you suddenly stop. You have to first decommission that. You got to call a priest to decommission that performance of that ritual where you are killing a goat and offering it to mother because you've made her get used to it. And that's how she is going to be awakened. Now you got to de-awaken, remove it, and then offer her aja, which is the true aja, means you're going to offer her grains.
Dear brothers and sisters, we are running out of time. We are going to take only one more comment, and then we are going to move on to the next aspect. Suren bhai, I trust you will keep it short.
Yes, I will keep it
Thank
short.
you.
I know I've been criticized for the comment I made. I want to let you know that I have chosen to become a Pandit to practice Sanathan Dharma and to practice it in the right way. Right? We were asked good questions for and be bold enough to do it, which I did, because some people might not want to answer question on the thing. But I used that very verse that I just quoted here to change a family that was sacrificing to stop sacrificing, because I told them in that verse there that it says there that you can do all this for 1 year, but if you just read the Shabda Sati once, mother is more happy with that. So I managed to change the family to be non-sacrifice.
Thank you, Suren.
I don't practice, I never ever practice puja where they did the
Thank you, Suren.
Can I say that Pandit Suren must not feel that you are critical of him? No. I want to thank you for generating the discussion. Because that is the purpose of this. You've generated discussion, and I think at the end of the discussion, everybody has got more information to make decisions.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. I think we should go back to what Pandit Lokesh was saying earlier, Tantric and Vedic. So that is very, very important what Pandit has said earlier on the Tantric and the Vedic. We are here all to protect the Vedas and stick by the Vedas. So that's what I was saying.
Jai Shri Ram. Dear brothers and sisters, you can also go to the Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran. There's a katha about Raja, there's a king there who was engaging in animal sacrifice. And Narad Muni went to him and told him, what you are doing is terribly wrong. There are terrible repercussions for you, you must stop it. In addition to that, there's another katha in the Bhagavatam where people were going to do a human sacrifice. And Mata Kali came out of the murti and killed the very people who were trying to sacrifice. So be very careful. If you believe that the Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran is a supreme source of knowledge, then that's a scripture you must go and read and understand. We are now going to conclude this year, and I want to thank everybody for the manner in which they handled this discussion, because it was a sensitive matter. But all of us must take something from here. If we really want to learn, and we heard new things and wonderful things, we must try to implement those good things. Having said that, we are aware that some people could not be here. We have registered priests who live outside the province. So Lokesh Bhai is going to make available his paper, the work that he has prepared, the research work. We are going to send it out to you. Perhaps you have not thought of something today, and you may want to contribute further to that article. You will still have the opportunity to do that, and those who are not here will also have the opportunity to do that. And perhaps if your points are valid and it comes with the right kind of scriptural reference, Lokesh Bhai may consider including it in his article, and then what we can do is we can then share this article. Okay? And perhaps it will bring about more uniformity, etc. This is the place where we are allowed to debate these subjects. When we go outside, we shall be seen as one. Okay? Thank you very much for attending this workshop. Just a few announcements. In case you have not updated your details on the website, please contact Vasant Bhai. He will assist you to update your details.
It is extremely important. Based on what Lokesh Bhai has spoken about the SAQA accreditation, etc., when we are asked for information, it's going to come off that website. So you must ensure that your details are live and all your correct information is on there.
We've already submitted a list of names to SAQA, so if you are not registered, your name won't be on that list. How many we submitted? About 100
About 110 or so.
110
Dr.
names.
Tulsia sent it
Yeah.
last week.
So one list has gone off for the SAQA accreditation already. So if you have not done it yet, I suggest that you do it immediately, and perhaps we can do a follow-up and send your names through. You need to notify your colleagues who may not be here of what has happened, that the names are gone already off. And perhaps there's going to be one more chance for people to come to the party. Otherwise, they are going to be excluded.
Can I also advise that if you are not computer literate or you have technological difficulties, you have colleagues who can help you. We must engage with our priest colleagues regularly. You form a small circle of 2 or 3 people and let them assist you. And if you can't get somebody from there, you have family, younger children, grandchildren, let them sit next to them and ask them to help you. Then there will be less of a burden on Pandit Basant and a few of us to upload everybody's details. Right? You've got to be fair to everybody else as well. Try to get family and friends and colleagues to assist you. Thank you.
As you are aware, there's a WhatsApp group that we send messages on. If for some reason you are not on that WhatsApp group, you need to notify Dhiraj Bhai so we can add you. Perhaps you received an email about this workshop, but you're not on the WhatsApp group. You need to be on the WhatsApp group as well, so that we ensure that you receive information through 2 methods. In case you miss one, you will certainly get the other one. Okay? Finally?
We forgot the password. When it came to password, you know what to do.
Jai Shri Ram.
When it came to password,
just tell Vasant, he'll assist you. Right? He'll assist you to reset it. Okay?
And write the password somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. I trust that all of you have received the dates for the upcoming 2 workshops. Alright? I want to appeal to all of you, as you have seen today, that there's always new information coming to light. So many doubts get cleared, etc. Please diarize those dates. When I hear sometime a Panditji sends a message, I'm so sorry I can't make it, I got a katha to do. It's an apology that we accept, but it's a sad apology for me, because you know about the date so much in advance. You had to keep that, confirm that katha with the yajman today at 2 o'clock when we're having the meeting. Does that make sense to you? Everything else we do in our lives, what do? We juggle our diaries, we make a plan so that we can meet certain commitments. If this Sabha is not going to be a successful one, the public is going to suffer. Not just me and you. Okay? And remember, there are younger people coming here all the time. People are graduating from our course. You'll see some new faces here. They haven't heard everything that you may have heard, and you may be able to come here and contribute to the discussion that will enhance their knowledge. So whether you believe that you know everything or not, isn't it our duty to be here? This is our Sabha. If we are not here, what will happen to it? So I want to thank you again for being here, and thanks to Dr. Lokesh Maharajh for presenting such a wonderful pieces of information. You can see that he's done lots and lots of research, and this is what we all look forward to. The information was also balanced, and everybody was allowed to put their views forward, and this is what makes healthy debate. We're now going to conclude Puja. Pandit Rohit will do the conclusion. Oh, sorry. I'm reminded of something as well. There's refreshments that are provided, tea and snacks. Please do join us afterwards. After this, we conclude here and have a cup of tea. And I hope that you have a safe journey home. One more thing, we sent out a circular where we asked you if there's any concerns or anything you'd like to contribute to the general
running of the Sabha. I'd like to hear from you. If there's anything you're unhappy about, you must talk about it. If there's something you'd like to start up that is new, bring new ideas, you are entitled to that. You must communicate. Communication is important.
I want to say to all of you who may not know that Pandit Saji is now the head of the Purohit Mandal. Let's conclude. Tirvavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhina sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukhabhave om asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya om purnamada purnamidam पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांति. Thank you.